I have been watching First Take for years, and I thought I had seen everything that show could possibly produce. The arguments, the walk-offs, the viral moments, the hot takes that break the internet. I thought I had seen it all. But what happened this morning on live television made everything that came before it look like a calm, orderly press conference. Stephen A. Smith did something today that I genuinely believe has never been done on a major sports broadcast, and the information that exploded out of that moment has the potential to reshape the Los Angeles Lakers in a way that nobody saw coming. Let me set this up properly, because the context matters. The show was running a segment about teams that need to make the most impactful offseason moves. Stephen A. and Shannon were working through various rosters, and when the conversation landed on the Lakers, Stephen A. started making a very specific case. He talked about how the Lakers are at a crossroads. LeBron James is 41 years old, still performing at an elite level, but with the clock obviously ticking. Luka Doncic has been dealing with injuries. Austin Reeves, who averaged 23.3 points, 4.7 rebounds, and 5 assists this season and carried the team through stretches without LeBron and Luka, is heading into free agency. The Lakers need to think about both the present and the future simultaneously. And then Stephen A. said something very specific. He claimed that the Lakers were in advanced discussions to acquire Deni Avdija from the Portland Trail Blazers. Hey, what's up everyone? Real quick before we get into everything, that like button is literally what determines if this reaches hundreds or thousands of fans. Takes 1 second but makes a huge impact on the channel's growth. Just smash that like button right now. It's the easiest thing you can do, but honestly the biggest way to support this content. Every single like pushes this further, so hit it now. Shannon's reaction was swift and dismissive. He looked at Stephen A. with this amused, almost patronizing expression and said, "Stephen A, come on man, you're making stuff up. Deni Avdija? The guy was a role player 2 years ago. Now you're telling me the Lakers are trading for him like he's some kind of star? You're just saying things for content. Nobody's buying this." That was a mistake, a big one, because what Shannon clearly hadn't been tracking closely enough is that Deni Avdija is no longer the player he was 2 years ago. He's not a role player anymore. He's an all-star. He averaged approximately 24 points, 7 rebounds, and 6 assists per game this season. He had a 41-point, 12-assist game in the play-in tournament. He's become one of the most versatile, productive, and undervalued players in the entire NBA. And Stephen A. knew all of this, and he did not appreciate being called a liar about it. Stephen A.'s face changed. The casual debate energy that had characterized the segment disappeared. In its place was something hard, something determined, something that said, "I am about to prove you wrong in front of millions of people." He looked directly at Shannon and said, in a voice that was barely above a whisper, but carried the weight of absolute conviction, "You want proof? I'll give you proof right now." And then he did it. He pulled out his cell phone on live television in front of the cameras. He scrolled through his contacts, found a number, and pressed call. Then he placed the phone face up on the desk and hit the speaker button. The ringing echoed through the studio. Shannon's expression went from amused to confused to genuinely concerned in about 2 seconds. Molly Karam looked like she was trying to decide whether to tackle Stephen A. or cut to commercial. The producers, based on the camera work, seemed equally paralyzed. The phone rang 3 times. Then someone picked up. A man's voice. Relaxed, casual, the kind of tone you use when a friend calls you and you're not expecting anything formal. He said, "Hey, what's going on? Make it quick. I'm in the middle of something." Stephen A. didn't waste a single second. He asked, point blank, "What's the latest with the Lakers and Deni Avdija?" And the source, completely unaware that his voice was being broadcast to millions of people across the country, started talking. He said the Lakers had been in serious discussions with Portland about Avdija for several weeks. He said the framework of a deal had been discussed and that both sides were working through the final details. He mentioned that the Lakers viewed Avdija as, and I'm paraphrasing here because I don't want to misquote, a franchise-level acquisition at a bargain price. He said the front office believed Avdija's combination of scoring, playmaking, defense, and his contract, which sits at approximately $13 to $14 million per year, made him one of the most valuable trade targets in the entire league. He also mentioned that JJ Redick had been specifically involved in the discussions because of how strongly he felt Avdija fit the offensive system the Lakers were building. The source kept going. He talked about how the Lakers saw Avdija as both a compliment to LeBron in the short term and a potential cornerstone of the franchise in the post-LeBron era. He described Avdija's playmaking ability, his size at 6'9", and his defensive versatility as exactly the profile the Lakers had been searching for. He even mentioned that the front office had been running film sessions specifically analyzing how Avdija's skill set would integrate with the existing roster. And then the source stopped talking. There was a pause, a long one, and then the voice said very quietly, "Wait, am I on speaker? Stephen A? Am I on the show right now?" The silence that followed was deafening, and then the line went dead. Click, done, over. The studio erupted. Molly immediately said something along the lines of, "That absolutely should not have happened. We need to be very clear that what just occurred was not planned or sanctioned." Shannon was sitting there with his jaw on the desk, literally motionless. For maybe the first time in his career on that show, Shannon Sharpe had absolutely nothing to say. He just stared at Stephen A with this expression that was somewhere between shock, admiration, and horror. And Stephen A, with the most satisfied, self-assured smile I have ever seen on a human face, leaned back in his chair and said, "That's what I thought." Now, before I get into the basketball analysis, I need to say this. What Stephen A did was a massive breach of journalistic ethics. Putting a confidential source on speakerphone on live television without their knowledge or consent is something that should not happen. Molly was absolutely right to say so, but the information is now public. It can't be unheard. And for Lakers fans, what was revealed before that call dropped is potentially the most significant piece of news this franchise has received all off-season. Let me break down everything we learned and why it matters. The source confirmed that the Lakers have been in serious discussions with Portland about Deni Avdija. These discussions have been ongoing for weeks. A framework for a deal has been discussed. JJ Redick has been personally involved. And the Lakers view Avdija as a franchise-level acquisition whose contract makes him one of the most valuable trade targets in the NBA. Let's start with the player himself, because if you haven't been paying attention to Deni Avdija's transformation, you're behind. This is not the same player who was drafted 9th overall by Washington in 2020 and spent his first few years in the league as a solid but unspectacular wing. Avdija has undergone one of the most dramatic developmental leaps in recent NBA history. This season, he averaged approximately 24 points, 7 rebounds, and 6 assists per game. He was named an All-Star for the first time. He dropped 41 points and 12 assists in a play-in tournament game, demonstrating the kind of star-level performance that puts you in the conversation with the best players in the league. He's become a genuine point forward, a player who can handle the ball, run the offense, score from all 3 levels, and defend multiple positions. And here's the thing that makes Avdija such an extraordinary trade target. His contract, he's making approximately $13 to $14 million per year. For context, that's less than what some solid role players make in today's NBA. To have a player producing at an all-star level on that kind of contract is one of the biggest bargains in the entire league. It means the Lakers could acquire Avdija without destroying their salary cap flexibility. They could add an all-star caliber player and still have room to build a competitive roster around him. That kind of value is almost impossible to find in the modern NBA, and it's exactly why the source used the phrase franchise-level acquisition at a bargain price. Now let me talk about how Avdija fits with the Lakers specifically, because the basketball case is overwhelming. Start with the LeBron partnership. LeBron James at 41 is still one of the best players in basketball, but he needs help, real help, not role players who can knock down open threes or set screens. He needs a player who can share the creative burden, who can handle the ball and run the offense when LeBron needs a rest, who can make plays for others and score efficiently when the defense focuses on LeBron. Deni Avdija is exactly that player. At 6'9" with elite passing vision and playmaking ability, Avdija can function as a point forward alongside LeBron in ways that very few players in the NBA can. Think about what that looks like. 2 tall, versatile playmakers on the floor at the same time, both capable of handling the ball, both capable of scoring, both capable of finding the open man. The defensive math against that kind of lineup is a nightmare. You can't double LeBron because Avdija will make you pay. You can't sag off Avdija because he can score 24 points a night. The offense becomes a constant 2-man game between 2 players who are both capable of being the primary creator on any given possession. And this is where the long-term vision becomes crucial. The source mentioned that the Lakers view Avdija as both a complement to LeBron now and a cornerstone of the franchise going forward. And that makes perfect sense. LeBron is not going to play forever. When he does eventually step away from the game, the Lakers need someone who can be the foundation of what comes next. Avdija, at just 25 years old and with his game still improving, could be that player. He has the scoring, the playmaking, the defense, and the basketball IQ to be the primary engine of an NBA offense. And his contract means the Lakers would have him locked up at a team-friendly number while they build the rest of the post-LeBron roster around him. Think about the defensive implications as well. The Lakers have needed more defensive versatility on the wing, and Avdija provides that. He can guard multiple positions, from 2 guards up to power forwards. He has the size and length to contest shots, the lateral quickness to stay in front of smaller players, and the strength to body up bigger ones. In a Western Conference filled with talented wings, having a defender of Avdija's versatility is invaluable. And when you pair his defense with his offensive production, you're talking about a true two-way player who impacts the game on every single possession. Let me also address the Austin Reaves dynamic because it's an important part of this conversation. Reaves, who averaged 23.3 points this season and had that incredible 4-game stretch averaging 39 points and 9.5 assists when LeBron and Luka were both out, is heading into free agency. The Lakers love Reaves and want to keep him, but free agency is unpredictable, and there's always a chance that another team offers Reaves a max deal that the Lakers can't or won't match. If that happens, having Avdija already on the roster provides insurance. It ensures that the Lakers have an all-star caliber player to build around, regardless of what happens with Reaves. And if they do manage to keep Reaves, having both him and Avdija alongside LeBron gives the Lakers a trio that can compete with anyone in the Western Conference. The JJ Redick factor is also significant. The source specifically mentioned that Redick has been involved in the discussions about Avdija. Redick is an offensive-minded coach who values intelligence, versatility, and playmaking. Avdija checks every single one of those boxes. He's the kind of player a coach like Redick can build an entire offensive system around. A player who can play multiple roles within the offense, who can make the right read in every situation, and who can elevate the play of everyone around him. When a coach is personally pushing for a specific player acquisition, that tells you everything about how highly they value the fit. I keep coming back to that phone call, the source's voice, the casual, matter-of-fact way he confirmed that discussions were serious, that a framework existed, that the Lakers viewed this as a franchise-level move, and then the horrible moment of realization when he figured out he was on live television, the silence, the deadline. It was one of the most shocking moments I've ever witnessed on sports television, and the substance of what was said before that call drop changes everything about how we should view the Lakers offseason.